I know I'm saying hi, expecting people to respond, and I have put everyone on mute. I appreciate everyone coming today. This is the first time we've hosted something like this, and we were really blown away by all of the interest. So I am really excited to have our guests with us today. I'm going to give it just a minute more, maybe, because I know we've still got some people coming in. Just a few housekeeping items. If you do have questions during the session, please feel free to enter them in the chat box. We are also going to be recording this session. So if for any reason you need to jump off early or you want to access the content later, we will be sending it out after the session wraps. So you'll be able to access that again. All right, and while we're waiting for a few more people to come in, I just want to tell you guys a little bit more about the SBTDC if you guys are unfamiliar. So the SBTDC is a Small Business and Technology Development Center. We were established in 1984 as a cooperative part of the Small Business Administration, the SBA. We offer free counseling, one-on-one counseling with small and medium-sized businesses in the state of North Carolina. Our office specifically serves the Eastern North Carolina region. We are located on ECU's campus. We're off First Street. So we do in-person meetings, we do Zoom meetings, we can meet with you over the phone, really any way that you'd like us to meet with you. After the session today, we'll send out some more information about the SBTDC and give you some information on how you can register for one-on-one counseling. But I just want to give you a little bit more information about us before we started. All right, we still have some people coming in, but I want to be respectful of our presenters' times as well as your time. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers. We have Gabri Menino and Carol Sanders. They are joining us from Evolve today. I've got some bio information about both of them that I'll share. So Gabri graduated from UNC's Hussman School of Journalism and Media in the spring of 2020 with a degree in advertising and public relations and a minor in geological sciences. Her education was driven by a passion for qualitative research, identifying compelling insights, and leveraging these to create memorable and impactful stories. Now she is a digital strategist at Evolve in Greenville, North Carolina. Her primary focus as a digital strategist is on organic social media, and her secondary focus is on paid digital advertising. She currently helps clients understand how to best communicate with their audience online. And in this role, she's able to be a part of many different projects. And most importantly, she's able to continue learning more about the industry. So thank you so much, Gabri.
Thank you, Rachel.
And we also have Carol Sanders. So Carol fell in love with marketing after taking Marketing 101 in college. She was on track for a journalism degree, but decided to change her career that same year. Since then, she has worked in high-paced marketing positions in big name companies such as L'Oreal, but also in smaller agencies as well. Carol has lived in different countries like Italy, UK, Spain, and Canada, which have helped her improve her marketing skills and obtain certifications and a master's degree. Being a native from Brazil means that she could adapt to different cultures and has brought that knowledge and skill into her everyday work life. So thank you so much, Carol, for being here.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to you guys and let you take it away.
All right, so I will share my screen here. Thanks again for having us. We are very excited to be here. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay, perfect. So today we're going to be talking about creating a marketing plan, and specifically for small businesses. Why is it not? There we go. So Rachel did a great job of introducing us, so thank you again. My name is Gabri. I'm a digital strategist here at Evolve.
My name is Carol. I'm also a digital strategist here at Evolve. I've been here like 3 months. Every has been for over a year.
Yeah, a little bit over a year for me here. So we do want to hear a little bit about yourself. You should see a poll appear on your screen, and this is more so for us to better be able to answer any questions at the end if there are any.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so it looks like the majority of us here are responsible for the marketing of your own businesses and your own companies. Can you see that? All right, awesome. So what we'll go over today, it's a pretty big list of topics, very overarching things, but each of these will help overall to help you create your own marketing strategy and your own plan. So the first thing we'll talk about is what is digital marketing, how to define your business goals and objectives, creating a SWOT analysis, which we'll go over what that means. There's a couple of acronyms in marketing. Then we will talk about your target persona and how that persona translates to somebody online, what a SMART campaign goal is, building your marketing plan, and then once you've implemented that plan, how to continue to adjust and monitor it. And then we added a bonus topic, which is Google My Business, because we do think that's a very important piece to have in your overall plan, or if you're just looking to have an online presence in general. Okay, so what is digital marketing? We define digital marketing as any type of communication that your business has with a consumer online, whether they're interested or they could become interested. So that's in social media, search engine marketing, any email marketing through your mobile device, through your computer, anything online where you're communicating with your customer. And there is a delineation when we're talking about digital marketing between something that is paid, so a paid ad, whether it be on Facebook or Google or Instagram or whichever platform, and then the organic side, which is unpaid, so posting on social media, regardless of the platform that social media is on. So here's another poll. Do you currently have an online presence? Are you on Facebook? Do you have a website? Any sort of thing like that?
Oh, damn.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's really good, because a lot of what we see is that small businesses find it hard to put themselves out on social media and out in digital marketing because they don't really see the value in it. A lot of what we've heard is that people think it's either too expensive, or they've been in the area for so long that word of mouth and like in-person word of mouth is the way to go, or that it's too complicated, their business isn't big enough. And we're here to kind of debunk those myths and say that it is possible for a small business to invest in digital marketing and digital media. In fact, in 2019, there's this stat that says 63% of small businesses increased investments in social media. So that is even before COVID. We can only imagine now with the changes that we've had to make, how, people having to stay inside, the real need for being online, being present there. And then, of course, as the years go on, more and more people are spending their time online. So the big shift we see when it comes to digital marketing is the shift from the marketing funnel to the consumer decision journey. There's the funnel. You tell people about your product, they become interested in it, they decide if they want to buy it, and then they buy it, or they don't. And that's kind of where the funnel ends. With the addition of digital marketing and simply the ability for customers to go online, it takes that funnel and it adds sort of a twist to it. So the customer now has multiple touch points before they make a final purchase decision. They have a ton of different ways to gather information about the product that they're looking for. and they're presented with a lot of options for that product or service. And because of that, the internet doesn't really stop once the consumer makes a purchase. That's when the consumer is now part of this loop. They can continue to inform not just you as the business, but other people who are now in that decision-making process of whether or not they'd be interested in your product or service. So that's part of the reason why this creation of the loop, why digital strategy is so important nowadays. So you can think of it this way: if they're seeing your product or your brand, your store online on various digital platforms, your business will be top of mind way more often than if you're there just periodically visiting your store. But for digital marketing to be effective, you do have to define these 2 key points. So I'll hand it over to Carol.
So the 2 key points you have to define when you create a strategy are your goals and objectives. And I'm going to explain the difference between them because they are very similar words and people think that they're the same thing, but they're not necessarily that. So goals are your final results or outcomes. So for example, in 2 years, you want to increase your web presence or your social media presence. It's very broad. It doesn't really measure. You don't have like a data to it. It's what you want your business to achieve. So you want your business to have more followers on Instagram and Facebook. Do you want to have more presence on social media in general? Or you want people to go more to your website? And it has a longer time frame. Goals normally are every year, every 2 years, every 5 years. It's a very long time frame that you set your business to. And how you achieve those are creating objectives. So objectives are specific to what you're going to achieve. They are kind of like a little path for you to achieve your goals. So for example, if you want more followers on your social media, you would post more. You would say, then I'm going to start posting twice a week to at least gain 10% of the followers that I have. It shows how you're going to achieve your goals. They're measurable. You have a data, you have a number that you attach to them, and they have a short time frame. There can be 2 months, they can be 3 months or 6 months. So in the example that I have on the other slide, for example, we give an example of increasing web traffic. So by doing that, you have to bring people to your website, right? So the objective that you do that will be posting on social media for new online only products at least once a week, create promotional ad offer of 20% off discount for new users on websites. You see a lot on fashion websites like this. If you just went into the website, and if you're new and you put your email, a new user, you get 15%, 10%. That's very much something that fashion brands do. And you can even create a referral program via email marketing if you already have a contact list of customers that you already own. So those are some objectives, and that's the difference between objectives and goals. Goals are just the broad thing that you want to do in 5 years, and objectives is how you're going to achieve them.
So the next piece of your marketing plan should be creating a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the benefit of filling one of these charts out is that you can really understand where you fit in to the competitive market. What these things mean are your strengths are internal and helpful aspects of your business. So that could be anything from you have a really good product line, or you have a really great website. So those are strengths of your business. Weaknesses are internal aspects of your business that are harmful to your business. So with COVID-19 being probably one of our biggest threats, and we'll get to that in a bit, a lot of businesses have come to us saying that they're struggling with hiring employees. So a weakness could be that you're short-staffed. So it's an internal aspect of your business that is harmful. And then an opportunity is an external aspect that's helpful. So this is where you start to come up with ideas for how you can grow, whether it's adding a new product to your business, adding a new service, things like that, or even a new way to attract employees. So that's how you can turn your weakness into an opportunity. And then threats are external factors that you can't control. So COVID-19 is a perfect example of a threat that a lot of businesses, and all businesses, I would say, have had to overcome. So that's an external factor that's harmful to your business. So the example I have here is with McDonald's. I know that I'm talking to a lot of small business owners and people in small business marketing positions, but I do think that using this brand to understand how these blocks and how these charts fit in will help you in filling out your own later on. So for McDonald's, the strength is that it's a well-known brand and it's been around for years. People know what they're getting when they go to McDonald's. Those are things that are within their business that are positives for them. Weaknesses are that, their food is considered unhealthy and it's not novel in the way that it once was. I remember when I was younger, I would go to McDonald's with my grandpa and it was this super fun thing. He loved it too. It was like an exciting time during the week that we would go together and get like chicken nuggets or whatever it was. But now that's not the case anymore. Now it's just something that you drive by, you're hungry, you pick it up quick. It's just in passing. So an opportunity that McDonald's has here is adding new menu items to their list, whether it's the spicy nuggets. I think those were a limited time offer, or adding the new chicken sandwich. And then basing it off of how they're not novel anymore, an opportunity that they saw was the collaborations that they're doing with different celebrities now. And then their threats, of course, are the COVID-19. Having a younger audience that's a little bit more savvy and understands what they're looking for. And then there's a ton of competition. So Chick-fil-A being a healthier option, Chipotle being a healthier option. That's how you would consider your threats. Make sure that you want to consider your competitive market here as well.
So now that you know your business, you know the deeps within your business, the question is, do you know your audience? Do you know who your target persona is? So when we talk about target persona, they are, can you go to the other slide, please? Thank you. So target persona is pretty much your ideal customer, is who you're trying to attract, is the person that's going to go into your shop and they're going to buy something, they're going to leave happy and cheerful and everything. So your target persona goes beyond demographics and psychographics. It focuses more on the prospect and consumer needs, pain points, and buying process. So what I mean with that is more than just saying is from 12 to 25-year-old female person. It just goes deeper into who they are, where are they in their life stage right now, what are their hobbies, what do they like, is pretty much creating someone. And it seems funny to say this, that you have to create a person to understand who your target audience is, but it helps you so much when you're going to create a strategy. So your target persona is your perfect customer. So how do you create your target persona? You give them a name, you give them a job title, you give them details about their role, demographics, age, gender, how much they make, where do they live, with their parents, with a loan, do they rent, do they own a house? You create someone. Have you ever wrote a story and you have to create a character? It's pretty much that, but it's a character for your business. And you kind of add to it, how does your business gonna help them achieve the goal that they have, or help solve a problem that they have? So how is your company gonna kind of fulfill their needs in a way? So for example, we have an example of target persona. This is Nerdy Nina. This is a target persona for a book app, for reading online books. And we know that she's 25 years old. She's a software engineer, so she knows how to use computers and phones. She likes the internet, but she's not very into social media. So she's more like a bookworm, a loner. She likes games. She doesn't really like lending her books, so it makes sense for her to have an app on her phone to read the books. These are her favorite books. She likes American Gods by Neil Gaiman, Harry Potter, Ready Player One. And her goals is just discover new things, finding unique stories. She wants cataloging her book collection, and she likes to keep track. She finds it difficult to keep track of new series. So our new app is going to help her read the books. It's going to help her let her know what the new releases are. It's going to help her find more space to have more books, because books are heavy and physical, and you need to kind of have a bunch of bookshelves. As a bookworm, I know that this is really hard. So this is her, and this is how we can help her achieve those goals. So by creating a target persona, it makes it easy for you to kind of write your strategy. So this is Nerdy Nina. So how is our content gonna voice to her. How's it going to be our branding? How's it going to be our posts? Just understanding who she is, it makes it easier. It is very impossible, and it's nearly impossible as a marketer for you to target everyone. It's nearly impossible for you to create a communication that's going to please everyone. And something that we learn by working with it is that it's better to be more focused and then eventually adapt to who your actual audience is than to try to communicate to a bigger audience and then just make everyone kind of lost in what the message is. So after you create your target persona, you're going to have to understand who your persona online is. If you're doing ads, this is a more of an ad perspective, because the target persona can be used mostly for organic posts, for Facebook and Instagram, for blog posts and such. But if you're doing ads, you go a little bit deeper. So after you understand who she is, there's many ways you can target them on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit. And if you have questions, please let me know. It is a more detailed and complicated topic. But on Facebook and Instagram, there are 3 ways that you can target your audience. And when I say target, is who are going to see your ads. If you do end up deciding to do ads, you have a core audience that you can define on criteria such as age, geographics, interests, behavior, lifestyles, hobbies. For example, if you have a bakery, you can add people that love to cook, they love to watch cooking shows, that they live home, they have a baking interest, they buy a lot of baking products. And on custom audience, you get people that have visited your website beforehand. And this is a little complicated. And I feel like they're going to explain this on the web developer course tomorrow, that with Facebook, you can add a code or a tag to your website, which means that if everyone that visits your website, Facebook is going to know who it is, and they're going to target, if they're on Facebook, they're going to target the ads to them. And it's very creepy to think about it, but Facebook and Google kind of knows where you are all the time. So the way that you do custom audiences, you get people that are loyal to your customers already. And if they're loyal, they're visiting your website, they know, you know that they like your products, or at least they're interested in your products. And you can target ads to them. Have you ever gone to like a website and just look at a product and put on your cart, and you decide, no, I'm not going to buy this, and then you start seeing the ad all the time on Instagram and Facebook? That's because we're tracking you and we know where you are. I'm kidding, but seriously, that's a great way to do custom audiences if you have a bigger platform, if you're allowed, like if you can be able to get people from your website to actually be able to kind of start the looping conversation that Gabby was talking about. Again, it never ends with digital marketing. You always go back to it. So if people have visited your website, you can track them again on Facebook. And the third one is lookalike audiences. So those are people so Facebook gets your custom audience, which is pretty much the people that have visited your website beforehand, and understand and kind of machine learn what they like. And with a lookalike audience, it kind of targets people with a similar interest of those custom audiences. It's a little complicated. It's a very detailed, but those are 3 ways that you can target. So obviously you should always start with a target persona, because you can understand their hobbies, and you can do like more core audience, and then you can do custom audience, and you can do lookalike. There's a lot of things that you can go into it when you start actually touching those parts of ads. Now, on Google Ads, there are a lot of ways to target on Google Ads, which they're the demographic ones and the household income ones, which I'm not going to talk about because it's more general. You can do that in a lot of things. So I want to talk about 3 ones, which are very, very important if you're doing marketing on Google Ads, which is affinitive audience, which reach people that have demonstrated qualified passion to a given topic. And I'm going to give the example of my dad. My dad loves cycling. He goes to spinning classes, indoor cycling 3 times a week. He goes cycling every weekend with his buddies, Saturday and Sunday. He wakes up at 5 a.m. He never really shuts up about it. I love him to death, but he never really shuts up about it. It is his passion, it is his hobby, it's part of who he is. So if I'm gonna sell a bike, I'm gonna target him with a affinitive audience. There are people that are very, very passionate about something. So if you're very specialized in a product, you want to go that route, because you want people that are already in the consideration stage that will actually buy your product. Another way that you can target someone is with live events. like I said beforehand, we know where you are, we know what you're doing. And Google, more than anything, they know your life stage, they know your milestones, they know if you live with someone, they know if you own a house, they know if you're renting. So if you're, for example, you sell jewelry and you sell engagement rings, it would be great if you could just target people that have been in a long relationship for a while. Or if you want to sell a house, you target people that have been married for 3+ years, because those are people that are looking to find a house of their own, according to research. So you can actually track them according to the milestones that it makes sense to your business. And the last one, which I think is also very important, is the in-market segment. Giving the example of my dad who loves cycling, let's think about someone else, someone who just are looking to buy a bike. They don't love it, they've been thinking about it, they may have rented a few times, they may have gone to a few group biking sessions, but they don't really love it, but they've been thinking about it. So they're in the in-marketing segment. They're in the between awareness and considerations stage that we like to talk about. Those are people that are aware that your product exists, that they are thinking about getting it, but they're not really sure if they're going to get it now. So you do want to market them. In-market segments are great for prospect and future customers if you want to focus on those. So those are some of the different type of audiences that you can do. I know it's a little complicated. Ads itself is just a whole presentation, but I just wanted to let you know there are actually a lot of things that you can do as a marketer if you start actually going in deep into your platform, being Google or social media.
So once you have these high-arching big goals, you know who you're talking to, we want to go back and make sure that the goal that you selected was a SMART goal. And that's an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So you want your goal to be as specific as possible. The more specific it is, the easier it will be for you to reach that goal and to track whether it's working or not. You want your goal to be measurable. So that just means that it's quantifiable, adding a number to it, a KPI or key performance indicator. So in this example, I'm talking about a boutique who wants to sell t-shirts. So the measurable piece to a boutique who wants to sell t-shirts is saying, okay, well, I want my boutique to sell 150 t-shirts. Then you want your goal to be attainable. And that just means that it's realistic to your business. So if you want to sell 150 t-shirts by the end of the quarter, and you currently sell about 45 a month, then it's an attainable goal. It's a realistic goal for you to have to say, okay, well, I want to sell 150 in 3 months. Then you want to make sure that your goal is relevant. And this means that it's something that is needed by your business. So if you know that t-shirts are in style right now and you carry a product that people really love, then that's relevant for you to want to sell more of that. And then lastly, timely. You want your goal to have a deadline, to have a start and an end date so that you can track whether you need to make any adjustments, maybe at the end of the quarter, see if you've met your goal, and maybe you can push a little bit further, but you can't do that. You can't track that if you don't have a start and an end.
Now, you know your business, you know your strengths and weaknesses, you know your persona, you know your SMART goals. Now it's time to create the marketing plan. And plan and strategies are different when it comes to wording. Marketing loves to do that. Strategy is kind of like goals, is a general idea, and then plan is more objectives, is a step by step of something. So how do you create a marketing plan? First of all, you got to define your business mission. And your business mission is pretty much who you are. Who is your business? When you say that, you have to create a branding. You have to decide the colors of your business, the font that you're using for posts. And it seems funny to say that you have to pick a font or a color. But if you think as a consumer standpoint, someone's on Instagram and they're just doom scrolling. They're not going to know if it's your post if you don't have a branding, if you don't have a type of voice. The way that we do it with our clients, we have specific colors for each client. We have an OBGYN client that we only use this type of pink. And we have a finance client, we only use this type of yellow. It helps us as marketers understand how their communication is going to be, but also it helps the customer understand that, oh, this is the post for this business. It just makes it easier for us to just give a voice to the company. Second of all is to determine your KPIs. Gary talked about a little bit what KPIs are, but they can be anything. There just need to be something for you to measure. They can be sales, they can be followers, they can be increased newsletter signups, and so on. As a marketer, Excel is going to be your best friend. And before you start creating your marketing plan, just get all the information that you have on Facebook, Instagram. If you even use Google Analytics, if you know how many people go to your website, just put the numbers of people of how much you have, the data you have right now. And then after you finish doing, you see how much you grow. Every month at Evolve, we do reporting and analyzing of our clients because we need to see if what we're doing is actually working. We have KPIs for each client. So it makes us understand that the things we implemented, the strategy that we implemented, it actually does something. We have a lot of small businesses that comes to us and they just say, oh, I've started posting twice a week and I got some followers, but I haven't really seen any sales. And then we just ask them, okay, but how many followers did you gain? Did you gain any engagement? You gain followers, but did people like your posts? There's more nitty gritty to it than just saying that you gain more views or such. So understanding your KPIs, understanding what is important to your business is a big part of creating a marketing plan. Second of all is to create social media posts or ads for your target persona. Like I said, it's very, very difficult to talk to everyone. Don't try to it. It's going to make you go crazy. Just focus on one person and just make posts that person's going to like. What would Mary like? What would Jake like? What will make them see a post and actually like it? And obviously, after you do that, you're going to adapt your target persona. Target persona tends to change with the business changing. You should never have the same one every year. I mean, every 2 years, you should always adapt because with marketing and digital marketing especially, we are attacked by so many things, external and internal, that we have to learn how to adapt very quickly. But just focus on someone, and if you have to change your communication, do it. Just see what works first. Now, the other things that you have to do is define your budget. How much are you willing to spend on? Oh, that is true. I forgot that we have a poll. I'm sorry. Do you have a budget for marketing? Which is actually a big question. So I say that because a lot of businesses, and if they're small businesses, they don't really have a budget. They don't decide if it's going to be 10%, or as I can see, a lot of people that have no. Not having a budget makes it very hard to analyze or report to know if what you're doing actually works. If you just spend a lot of money, that does not mean you're going to get a lot of money back. It's a big misconception in marketing. And if you don't optimize and if you don't do your strategy the right way, you can spend $10,000 on ads and you might not get anything back. So understanding that how much is your budget, if it's 10%, 15%, and then reporting and analyzing to see if what you're doing actually works is a big, big part of marketing plan. Just don't put on a credit card and just forget about it, because that's a bad idea. It's a bad idea, guys. And define a campaign time frame. So with a strategy can go for a year, 2 years, 5 years. Campaign time frame, they're months. It can be a month, it can be 3 months, and we normally do quarters at Evolve because that's how long we can actually wait to see a change. And Gabby said that we have the machine learning is a thing. It takes about 3 weeks for Google and Facebook to kind of understand what you're doing. So have a time frame to see. It helps you acknowledge if things are actually working the way they should be working. And it's just, if in the 2-3 months something doesn't work, you can just change it. And lastly is identify your competitors. So when I say identify your competitors, first of all, know who your competitors are. You are competing with someone. It's very unlikely that you have no one that you're competing with. But when I say identify your competitors, is not necessarily imitate or mimic what they're doing. It's just to understand and see what they're doing and see if that actually will work with your strategy. A big part of our jobs is just doing competitor research, because we need to know what they're doing. And if something changes in the landscape, for example, COVID happened and everyone kind of did not know how things were going to adapt, it's good to understand what everyone is doing to see how you can use that to your own business. So these are just some steps for you to create a marketing plan. After you do everything, you can implement it, but then you have to learn how to monitor and adjust.
So yeah, so once you've gotten your plan, you've implemented it, and now we're in the process of seeing it in action and seeing if there's any ways that we can either change it on the fly or later on throughout the plan, and how we can make sure that it's still tracking the way that it should be. And with digital marketing and all the different tools that are available, tracking and monitoring and making those changes has become a lot simpler throughout time. So when we're looking at monitoring and adjusting, we like to split it up between whether you are looking at things organically, so just like Carol had mentioned, just posting, versus if you are paying for digital media online through ads. So we would recommend in both cases to spot check daily. So that just means organically speaking, if people are commenting on your posts, if people are leaving reviews somewhere, that you're there daily checking in on that to make sure that you can respond. Because social media and digital marketing is now, like we mentioned earlier, it's a conversation that's always going on, and people are expecting you to be there when they have questions or when they're talking about your product or service business. And then when we're looking at spot checking daily on the ad side, we mean just checking in on those platforms that you're running ads on to make sure that your budget didn't increase drastically overnight, which is very possible.
Yeah.
is machine learning, like Carol mentioned earlier. Or that making sure that nothing's turned off, that everything is still running the way that it should. Our second recommendation would be to review and make changes monthly. So back to that machine learning on the paid side, the more time that the platform gets to run your ad, the better it will optimize. And typically it takes about 3 weeks. So we would recommend, if you're going to make a change, whether it's to your audience, to your budget, that you make that change monthly to give it enough time to set in. And then with organic, that just means, okay, well, if you're posting a lot of videos and you're seeing that those are doing really well, that next month your organic strategy should include some more videos. And then lastly, we would recommend to adjust entire strategies quarterly. So that gives your plan enough time, your strategy enough time to really set in and see if your goals are progressing or if there's any major change that needs to be made. Maybe you've met your goal and it's time for a new one, or maybe you want to push that goal a little bit further and continue it on.
So our bonus topic right now is actually Google My Business. Since we have a lot of small businesses, we wanted to talk about it. If it's anything that you take from this presentation, having a Google My Business page is a big, big thing of it. So the poll right now is.
Good morning.
Hey, I've got one package for Bobby, the
Yeah,
pork chop.
you can leave it
but
in
it was
here.
addressed.
So the question is, do you have a Google My Business page? Gabby, can you change the slide, please?
Yes.
Yes. So we see actually 54.3 does not, and I'm not sure. Okay. See, so we're going to talk about why Google My Business is actually very, very important. Next slide, please. So Google My Business is, when you search for a business on Google, it shows up that little information box on the right. This is one of our clients, Greenville OBGYN. It has the address, it has the hours, the service, the phone number, and also reviews. It's kind of your business page on Google. And there's many reasons why you should have it. First of all, if you don't have a website, if you don't have anything, Google My Business is the first step for you to actually improve your ranking on Google page. And I'm not going to go into ranking or search engine optimization, which is a whole other conversation, but it helps you, pretty much it helps you, Google understand that your business is legit. And if someone searches something similar about your business or searches your business name, it's going to show up on the first page of Google. So if you have a pizza place and I search pizzas in Greenville and you don't have a Google My Business page or a website, the chances of you showing up there are very, very, very minimal. You're going to be the search page is going to be overloaded with other competitors, and it's going to make your actual contact info go down into the second page, which we've learned as a marketer is that people really don't go to the second page. The first one is normally the most important one. So by having a Google My Business page, it verifies your business. So when you create a page, Google is going to ask you to verify your business. It's going to have two ways to do it. It's going to maybe send a postcard or a letter to the address that you entered, which means is you have to just reply back, or you just have to put the information on online, or it's going to ask you to put a phone number, and then it's going to call. There's many ways that Google does it. But by creating that, it tells Google, hey, I am legit. This is a business. Please tell people that I am here. And with that, Google integrates the Google My Business page that you have with Google Maps. So if someone is on their phone and searching on Google Maps, pizza places near me, if you have a Google My Business page, it's going to show up there. It's going to make it easier for new people to find your business. Also, is a direct contact with customers. It's a great way for people to write reviews. We talk about the loop, how people have different pinpoints nowadays, not just I'm going to buy this product. I'm going to look up, actually now it's like, I'm going to look at a lot of reviews. I'm going to look at videos. I'm going to search a lot before buying this very expensive product, or before actually doing this, getting this service. So by having reviews and having a good rating on Google My Business, it tells people that you're a good business for them to contact with, and it helps them contact you with messages, a phone number, or email, because you can add those as a contact info. And the reviews are a great way to create word of mouth. Way back when, word of mouth was the thing for businesses in general, for small business, big business. But right now, reviews are, and even if you don't know the person, it gives you a psychological thing in your subconscious. It's saying that someone is verifying and saying this is a good thing for you, this is a good product. It is a human and not a celebrity. Some people are more likely to get a product by review by a actual person than an actual celebrity or influencer. So having reviews are great. So like I said, you should always reply to reviews as well. Google is nothing but a way for you to communicate with your customers. And you should reply to actual like 5-star reviews. When I used to work at the local restaurant in Connecticut, we have a lot of reviews. We had like 9 locations, and so we got a lot of reviews. Every time we got a 5-star review, we used to reply to them saying thank you so much for reviewing, taking your time to write a review for us. We would really like to send you a gift card to go to one of our restaurants. It kind of comforts the customer a little bit, and it creates a little communication with them. It shows them that they're appreciated by us as the business. So you should always reply to reviews if they're good ones, and you should always reply to reviews if they're bad ones. Now, there's a lot of discussion if you should reply to reviews if they're bad ones. I personally think you should, because if you have a page and you only have bad reviews, you don't really, a new customer or user, your new audience is not going to know the two sides of the story. They're only going to see the bad review. They're only going to see someone complaining about your service or about your product. By replying, it doesn't mean you have to argue with them. You just have to say, I'm really sorry that this has happened to you. And then you take the conversation out of Google, which means you ask them to call you, send an email to set address, and you just take it away. And it kind of shows the new users that you actually care about bad reviews, and you're trying to make it right. So reviews are great, good or bad. They're a good way to communicate with your customer. And Google My Business in general is also a social media. You can actually add posts to it. With some clients, we just copy the posts that we have on Facebook and Instagram and put on Google My Business. Others, we create posts specific for Google My Business. It helps your ranking. It helps telling Google that you're a legit business. It helps making Google make you show up on the first page. And honestly, it just gives a face to the business. It lets people know that you're a legitimate business and you should contact us to get to know X, Y, and Z. So it's a very easy thing to do it, that we notice that a lot of businesses don't do it because they think it's more difficult than it actually is.
So that kind of covers everything that we want to go over with you guys. And just to recap, we talked about what digital marketing is, how to define a goal and an objective, creating a SWOT analysis, your target persona, both in person and online, what a SMART campaign goal is, building your plan, monitoring and adjusting that plan, and then of course, Google My Business. So yeah, we want to open it up to any questions.
Okay, so we did get a few in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some of those questions. Someone asked, how many personas do you need for your marketing plan? I thought that was a really good question.
So depending on the size of your business, most of all, not necessarily depending on the marketing plan, I would say start with one, because it is easier just to start with one. But if you have, for example, I talked about the OBGYN client that we have. We have a persona for moms that are pregnant. We have a persona for teenage girls that are just starting their puberty and stuff like that. And we have a persona for older people that are hitting menopause. So just more there's not necessarily a number. I would say no more than 5, because then otherwise it gets a little crazy. But understanding your business and just understanding what types of customers you have, if that makes sense.
Awesome. I think that's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
Another question.
It depends
Sorry,
on the
go ahead.
business.
What was that last part, Carol? I'm sorry.
I'm saying it depends on the business and how the business is in general.
There was another question. Any recommendations on best ways to develop valuable creative partnerships with competitors, especially those who have been in business longer and have an established track record?
I would say when it comes to building relationships with competitors, it's really just a conversation, go to that person and explain to them what your goals are and see if any of their goals align with yours. Because a lot of times starting the conversation is the best way for any type of collaboration to begin.
Carol, anything you'd like to add?
No, I agree with Gabri. We think that just because they're competitors, they're not going to listen to what you have to say. And they might not. I mean, you might send them an email, they might not, but honestly, just being polite and understanding and being respectful that they are in the same market that you are, it's a great way to start a conversation and see how that goes.
I always
you already have the no.
I always say to be politely persistent. So if you don't hear back from them the first time, try again. And then after that, maybe let it go. But
yeah. I think that's good. Someone asked, is Google My Business free?
Yes.
Yep, it is.
Awesome.
Most of Google platforms, like Google Analytics and Google My Business, they are free. If you want to do Google ads, then you have to pay for the ads, but Google is very open to like letting you use their program and their platforms to improve your website.
And there was a lot of good conversation in the chat about Google My Business templates. Someone was asking how or where do you find templates? There were some recommendations in the chat. Do you guys have any specific templates that you would recommend?
I wouldn't say necessarily templates, just when you're building your profile on there, it'll ask for different aspects of your business. And you just want to make sure that every question that it has, that there's an answer to that question. So the more you can fill it out, the better it is both for Google to register you as, like Carol had mentioned, a legitimate business, but also when potential customers have any questions, like where are you located, you want to make sure that that map is filled out, that the phone number is filled out if they're asking what your phone number is. So the more information you can put in, the better it is.
Yeah. If you can put pictures too, that's a big thing. If you're a restaurant, for example, putting pictures of the restaurant and the food that you have, you don't have to put your whole menu, obviously, but just adding more information for Google so Google can index a little bit your profile and then can show it to people.
So Carol, you brought up images. There was a question in the chat that was asking if there are any stock photo sites specific to Pan-African images. Do you guys have any resources that you would share specific to stock photos that are usable?
That's not paid. We use right now Adobe Stock, which is our primary one, but not paid. I would say unsplash.com, Pixels, and it's PEXELS.com. There's a third one, I don't remember right now, but there's a few. They're not paid stock images. I don't know if they're specifically to African and Pan Africa, but if you don't want to pay, unfortunately with stock images you have to kind of pay for them, especially if you're like doing marketing. But you can try those one. Someone saying Canva is also a good one. Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm getting some more good questions. So someone asked who they could contact at the Small Business and Technology Development Center to discuss these topics. I see that Mark, one of our counselors, put a link to our site in the chat. After the session today, we'll also be sending out more information with links to how to set up an appointment with one of us at the SBTDC, as well as the slide deck for this and the recording. So we'll make sure that you get all of the resources that were shared today. We do have some additional questions, though. I like this question. I think it's a great one. Someone asked, what if I'm an online financial coach and don't want my exact home address on Google My Business? What would you guys recommend then?
You have to create a business address, and that might be having a PO box, but it has to be a physical address, a legit physical address, I guess.
Yeah. I think the PO box would probably be the best way around it.
Yeah.
And the reason for the address is just because that is the way that Google verifies that business.
Yeah. It sends you a postcard with a code and you have to implement the code, I think.
Another question, what are some tangible tools we can use to measure marketing goals and outcomes?
I think that depends on what your goals are. So within the Facebook and Instagram platforms themselves, for example, if you're looking for increasing your followers, increasing engagement, there's the insights tool within those platforms that can help you track to how things are progressing. Also, Google Analytics is free to anyone who wants to use it. You just tie your website to it, and then you can track all of the like website visits that you've had and how people are using your site. So I think those two would probably.
Yeah, I would say if you don't want to pay, just use the insights and the data that Facebook, Instagram, and Google gives you already. They're very, very good. You just you have to somehow learn like how to read the data itself, but that's a good way to start.
And also, like if you're tracking sales, you can create your own Excel spreadsheet where you say like the certain time period, how your sales have, you know, increased at this point, or what your sales are right now versus what they are next quarter. Just writing everything down is super helpful as well.
Awesome. Another question, if a business is looking for an in-house marketing specialist, where do you recommend recruiting?
I would say probably LinkedIn. I would open a job on LinkedIn. I think that platform would be one of the best to recruit at least a younger audience if you're looking for younger, but also older. And then there's always Indeed and Glassdoor that you can add.
Facebook job is also a thing. People don't use it a lot, but.
Yep, Facebook jobs.
And then I think this is a question that a lot of people can relate to. If you have a small budget, say around $5,000, where would you recommend putting that money to get the best bang for your buck?
Then goes to the question, what is your business? And when you say 5,000, is $5,000 for ads, advertising, or $5,000 in general for design and social media? What we like to do 60-40. I guess that's kind of what we do. We do 60 for advertising and 40 for organic social media for most of our clients, obviously depending on who. But it's just they'll have to have an audit on your business just to see where that would make more sense.
So you always want to start again with like, what is your business? Who are you talking to? What is your goal? And then from there, you can determine what the best way would be to talk to that person that you're trying to reach. So maybe they don't have any social media and the best place to be is on Google, or maybe they, you're better off on Instagram versus Facebook if you're talking to more of a younger audience than an older one. So it kind of really all depends on what you're looking at and what you have in front of you.
There's one question that came in just now, and it was a direct message, but I think there might be some other people that can relate to it. We haven't really discussed anything for nonprofits. What resources or like marketing resources or things that you feel like would be most beneficial from a nonprofit perspective?
For a nonprofit, we work with a few nonprofits here at Evolve, and probably some of the most important things for them are having a website that clearly defines them, and that just gives people a place to go to find more information, to understand what your nonprofit is about, what your mission is, and someone to contact on that website. Then from there, I would say the second piece would be some sort of social media platform so that you can take your mission and spread the word farther out for people who are curious in it, or it'll be better off for you to spread your message, essentially, for people who are not sure to go to your website or not. So.
And if you're doing in-house a nonprofit, there's a lot of tools online. For example, Canva does templates for social media, and you can use free stock images with Unsplash. There's a lot of tools. If you do research, they're a little bit hard, a little trickier to find than just doing Adobe stock that you have to pay, but there's actually a lot of free stuff out there for you. But Gabrielle is right. A good website, that it's one of the big things when it comes to marketing, because it is pretty much the place that your customer is going to. So if you can have the best social media strategy ever, the prettiest posts ever, but if they go to your website and they don't like it and they don't understand what they're supposed to do over there, they're gonna drop out. So focus, if you have a budget, focus more on your website and then do other stuff.
And I'm glad that was brought up. I was going to mention this, as we were wrapping up, but we do have another session. It's going to be next Tuesday at the same time. And the focus of that one is website design and development. It's a hugely important topic. So if you haven't already registered for that, once I send the email out after this, it will have the link for you to sign up if you're not registered. And if you're unable to attend, you can still register to make sure that you get the content afterwards. But are there any other questions? I mean, we've still got some time. This is a great opportunity to ask experts in the field.
I do have another question regarding how to find good stats for market penetration for, say, publications, broadcasting matrix and digital penetration, say, in individual counties.
I would say the best way to do that is to contact someone from that publication. And usually they can provide you with, if you give them like your reasoning behind wanting to see it, they can provide you with some of their own stats for their own publication or their own station.
Because I was in broadcasting for a number of years, and of course we had Nielsen,
right,
that you would buy to get your ratings and stuff like that. But it seems harder to figure out that pie locally with digital and even some publications and things.
What do you use to broadcast with? What platform?
I mean, radio.
Radio, okay.
Yeah.
Most tools, like you said, Nielsen, are going to be paid.
Yeah, I'm thinking
what
those
you
recording tools are paid.
What you could do is maybe So there's this tool called Google Trends where it's just a website, a Google website, and you can type in like your location and what people are searching for. So it's very broad, but what you can do is type in maybe that radio station and see how popular it is in that area, how many people are searching for that particular outlet. And that can kind of guide you in the right direction if that helps.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, I had a question. The business that I'm establishing is the Pan-African Health Alliance and Collaborative.
Mhm.
So our product will actually be reports, conducting conferences, as opposed to producing widgets. Are there any specific recommendations that you have for a business that's in the consulting field, information services, as opposed to someone who's, baking cookies?
Carol, do you want?
I was just gonna say, with the business more B2B type of thing, I would say just have a good website where people can actually contact you. If you're doing webinars, there's a few platforms that you can use webinars. Facebook has a good live stream session for that too. And using LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good platform, especially if
Yes.
you're doing B2B. It's very strong. It's a little convoluted to use if it's new, but it's actually really good for B2B.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if we're going to choose a social media for a B2B business, it would definitely be LinkedIn. I would put a lot of focus on that.
Mhm. Thank you. If I may add, it would just be great if we had a session where the two of you, the three of you, just let your brain wander in all of these different sites that you're mentioning, the Canvas, the Pixels, if you did a stream of consciousness, perhaps. This is great information, so I greatly appreciate it.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
And to your point, I was making a note to see if we could get these resources in a list so that we can share them out as well. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. You have an encyclopedic memory and access. So thank you.
Thank you.
We did get a couple more questions in the chat, so I want to make sure we can get to those. Someone asked, what are your thoughts on having someone be the face of a company on social media? And an example they gave was like Flo from Progressive.
I think that to do something like that, you have to really vet the person and make sure that it's the right person. So if you've noticed with Flo, they've added a couple of other people to those Progressive ads lately. And the reason is because one person isn't always like a long-standing strategy. I think it's a good idea and it's good to start, but always keep in mind that that person might change. So I wouldn't make them like the core of your business. But I don't think it's a bad idea to have someone be the face of your company.
When I used to work at L'Oreal Brazil, we used to have kind of someone for each brand, and that used to change every 2 years with the new contracts. So it's something good to do, but like Gabrielle said, it's not someone that should be there forever, I guess. Marketing, you should adapt and you should change. And if you see, for example, in Brazil, we had the European blonde white person, and then we decided, nope, this is not Brazilian. We gotta change it for someone that's more curly hair. So you have to adapt and learn, and it's good, but
Awesome. We had some other questions. Do you have any feedback about text marketing?
If you have their consent to send a text, that's fine. But always have the user's consent to send texts or emails, because it can be a gray area of them just getting a lot of spam and they're just blocking your number, and then eventually you get flagged on the platform that you're using. So it's what?
No, go ahead.
No, say it's good. Depending on your business, it can be good. I would not say just text all the time every day. have a strategy and idea how many times you're gonna do it, but it's not bad.
Yeah. I would say if you're considering a text strategy, to start with email marketing and then see how many people engage with that to determine if texting is a good route for you.
Yes, I agree with that.
Texting is a bit more personal.
Yeah, it has become more personal. I get like texts from like online fashion brands. Hey, remember us? I'm like, yes, you've been texting me every day.
I think this question is probably felt by most business owners. I mean, I know the ones that I've met with and ones that I've spoken with. How does one do all of this without becoming overwhelmed?
Yep.
Yep.
one piece at a time. Think of who you are, take a second to think about what your business is, what do they offer. Just do it one step at a time. And I think that's the best and the only way that you're going to be able to get through it all. And don't expect to see a change within a month. If you're putting in the work, it's going to take some time. So,
and also like having a good team to bounce. Like Gabrielle and I were pretty much together doing everything together. So just having someone to bounce ideas off, and everything that we create, we talk to each other and we do it together. Yeah. So it's just one person, it can be very overwhelming. So if you need help, ask for help.
Well, and I mentioned this in the chat too, but there's resources like our office, we offer free one-on-one counseling. I always tell clients that one of the best things we offer is just another set of ears, another set of eyes to look over something. Our only desire is for businesses to be successful. And there's also the small business centers with the community college systems. I mean, they offer amazing courses that are free that help you with all of these topics. And so, I mean, I would take advantage of all the free resources that are at your disposal.
Yeah. And even here with the Evolve, like we're always open to anyone who wants to come in or give us a call just because they're curious about, our thoughts on their business. And we're more than happy to talk through those things with you. As a full service agency, we do everything from, helping you determine what your goals should be all the way down to creating that website. So that's just another resource out there.
And then someone asked about email marketing. I do know that one of our final sessions will get a little bit more involved into email marketing since it's a form of content marketing. But what would you guys say? How does email marketing fit into the digital marketing plan?
So I would say that it's another touch point. So back in the beginning of our presentation, when we were talking about that loop, email marketing is another space where your consumer is going to decide on making that purchase decision. So if they see an email periodically, you'll be more top of mind rather than if they don't see one. But it does depend on what that email is offering them. It doesn't have to be, a coupon code all the time, but it does have to be valuable to the person that you're sending it to.
I think you guys are gonna talk more about in the content presentation, that what you write, your post or your blog post or your email marketing, it should always be focused on the customer in the sense of what you write and what you create, it has to be valuable to them. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of take yourself away from the business. Like, yes, you want to sell, you want to give them products, you want to do this, but if it's not valuable to them, you should not do it. Mm-hmm. So just create emails that actually mean something.
Yeah, we just got another question that said, speaking of email marketing, how to improve open rates. I think what you're saying now, Carol, is exactly how you do that. Creating curated content for those target personas. Do you guys want to add on to that at all?
To be a little more specific, I would say with email marketing, how to open rates, create a catchy subject title.
That's always the hardest part, I feel like.
It's not necessarily, you don't gotta be clickbaity, but you have to write something that's gonna make someone click, because how many emails do we get every day? It has to, sometimes I get emails, like, oh, did you forget about us? Oh my God, this is insane. I'm like, what is insane? I wanna know what is insane. So just something that makes you actually want to, open the email and for them to read it. And then you just actually write a better content. They're like, okay, didn't want to scare you. Everything is fine. Hey, look, this product.
Yeah. So yeah, it is about making sure that content is valuable at the end. Yeah. So have that good headline and then make sure that once they open it, they actually do want to read it and they don't get upset by what's in there.
Yeah.
We also got another question. What is the most recommended website builder to use that is the least expensive?
We would always recommend, like, best practice, we would say WordPress is
Yeah.
probably the best builder for any business to have.
It is. I will add to that WordPress for the long run is the best platform because it helps with Google ranking. It's easier to do Google ranking and search engine optimization with it. If you do not know how to do that, if you do not know how to create a website, I would actually also recommend Squarespace and Wix. It is actually very user-friendly. If you just want to create a website to create a website, those are great because it's literally drag and drop boxes to make them.
But I think, yeah, I agree with that. And also just best practices, I would say probably at the top is WordPress.
Oh yeah, no, WordPress is like top. I'm just saying that I know a lot of what?
I said I've personally used that one and I felt like it was really user-friendly.
Yeah.
Let me see. So someone, and this might just be a more specific conversation that we need to get into on a one-on-one basis, but one of the comments was my clientele is older and I've always only used email marketing. As the owners get younger, my struggle is to keep up with technology and think about marketing differently. For example, not a full robust email, but just a simple picture on Instagram. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, but it seems like there might be a mix of knowing who the target audience is, because it says that your clientele is older, but then, you know, you feel like there's a need to connect with younger. So whoever put that in the chat, and I'm sorry, I can't remember, if you want to expand on that at all, feel free.
Yeah, so I target my businesses for childcare centers. So it's owners and directors only, and they tend to be, you know, mostly my age, 55 to 60. But as these people are aging out,
Oh,
I'm sorry, as they're aging out, then now we've got younger owners coming in, like my daughter's age, 35 to 40, and they're using Instagram and Twitter, but mostly Instagram.
So yeah, I would agree with what Rachel had mentioned. There's kind of, you have two types of people that you're trying to talk to here. So you have your older audience and then your younger audience. And I think it's fair to say that they would need two different types of communication styles. So I think it's fine to keep your older audience in that email group, and then to expand upon your Instagram platform to talk to that younger audience.
Thank you.
Carol, anything you want to add?
No, I agree. I was gonna say something similar, is just because you have different types of audiences, and if you have something that's already working, email marketing is already working for the older one, that doesn't mean you have to put that type of communication on Instagram. You can just use Instagram for your younger audience.
There was another question that said, how can we contact other people in this group within this cohort? So I would just put out there, I had another question too, if the questions posted in the chat were going to be available. Yes, I will be downloading the chat questions and including that in my follow-up. So if you have any interest in connecting with anyone else that has been on here, I would say please feel free to drop your email address in the chat and I will include that in the message that I send out as well. Do we have any other questions? We still have about 15 minutes. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to use this time.
I have a question, but I have can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have a different type of business. I own a very small stained glass studio. And the reason I started all this is there's a new hospital being built in Elizabeth City that I want to do glass in. And so I'm going through all this to get that. How do you figure out how much of this that you need to do when you're a business of one person, and it's a really fine line between having enough business and having too much business? You know, since if I'm doing all the digital marketing part, then I'm not out in the studio making product. So I'm having trouble balancing, trying to figure out how much of this to do. I mean, I've closed the studio and spent a week trying to get all the paperwork and get all the numbers that I needed to get. And I think I've about got all that. And so now this is my next step, but I need to get back out in the studio, but I need to do this too. So where do I need to start or focus?
I think that this is a perfect example of where you would want to either reach out to SPTDC with Rachel and see if there's anyone who you can add on to your team. Because it seems like you definitely need the help to kind of balance out someone who's producing, which is probably you, versus someone who's managing the like outside sort of business aspects of it. And I think that having an additional hand there would really help.
Okay.
I would say too, it's very challenging when you're a one-person team. But if you can block time off specifically to dedicate to this, that might make it feel more manageable. Or if you're able to create content and put it into a calendar so you can kind of set up some of your messages in advance. And Gabby, Carol, feel free to interject. But that could be a way for you to tackle some of this without feeling like you're having to spend time dedicated to it every single day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll add to it here. I'll say, since it's just you, you're the business, you're everything. And if you want to post on social media, if you're on the studio doing something, just take a picture. It gives a personality to who you are, who your business are. If you can't do scheduling, if you can't do any fancy things, it helps with creating content in a more organic and natural way, I guess.
Okay, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, and there were other people, I was getting ready to message this in the chat, but reach out to the community colleges and your local universities. I know not everyone is in Pitt County on this, but there are likely students who are looking for internship experience or, some type of experiential learning where it may not be free, but it would be very affordable compared, to hiring someone full-time to help you with marketing.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? All right, well, ladies, I will turn it back to you. Are there any final notes or comments or any words of wisdom or gems you'd like to leave with our attendees today?
Well, I do just want to say thank you to everyone who participated and came to listen to what we had to say. And we were really excited to be here. We are really excited to be here. And yeah, if you can reach out to us anytime. If you come up with a question later on today or tomorrow, whenever that is,
you can just email us.
We're more than happy to help out. So just let us know.
And their contact information is on the slide here, but again, I'll include all of this in the follow-up so you'll have all your resources right there in one message. So if you want to schedule a time to speak with Gabby or Carol, I know they'd be happy to set something up. And as I mentioned, if you'd like to schedule something with the SBTDC, or even if you'd like to get connected with the SBCs, we can give you the local information for, wherever's closest to you. But I do wanted to remind you guys again, next Tuesday, we'll have a session, website design and development with Red Shark Digital. And then The week after that, we'll have digital marketing basics, which will include a lot of the content marketing that we discussed earlier today with Content Garden. So thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate you being here. I mentioned before, I'll send out the recording, the questions, the slide deck, everything that we've covered today, as well as we'll pull together a list of those resources too, especially the free ones.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
guys so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Looking forward to our future sessions and hope you'll join us then.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.